evicted from his ancestral land. The people who resisted this change are shot dead on their own farm. Some of them are arrested. Most of them flee to the neighboring countries. And then the human traffickers took advantage of this. They milk enormous amount of money from the families of the asylum seekers who are in a crowded boat. They reach to the shores of maybe sometimes Israel, sometimes Italy, also sometimes to Saharan desert. And then they will arrest them, torture them there. If people are not able to get money from their relatives abroad, for those people, the chance of the asylum seekers is to be killed and then their bodies to be mutilated for sale, for a kidney or lung or any part of their body to be transplanted. And then there are ready medical doctors who are in that desert to do this operation.
Yeah, I think the point that you make really that refugees on one hand and asylum seekers, both part of the same issue, but also that they are not the unintended consequence of the activities of the West. They are the very deliberate creation of the West to an entire populations that are effectively disposable people, being dispossessed of their lands and their resources, being recolonized in the age in which we live now, and shipped off, in some cases literally to be used as commodities, their body parts to be used for commodities. Also, there are thousands, hundreds of thousands of refugees and asylum seekers trying to get into Europe. And Europe, of course, is at the moment rife with incredible amounts of racism and anti-immigrant sentiment. Meanwhile, of course, all of the countries of Europe bear the direct responsibility for 400 years of colonization in Africa, in the Middle East, in Southeast Asia, where all of these people are coming from, where all the resources are being taken by the First World. So, I mean, it's a kind of a very vicious cycle. And ultimately, the people that are feeling the consequences of that are living the consequences, are people just like Yilma, who has been here in Wellington now, for 15 years?
Yeah, almost.
15 years. I just want to turn...
One more point, if I say, about the refugee camps. They are not only prisons for the African refugees. They are also a laboratory of taste, especially for social science. What works, what is not working, starting from the medication which arrived and distributed have no expiring date. Refugees are tested by people who do their studies. Anthropologists studying the refugees, they get their PhDs. Social scientists, they do the same. And different people are coming in the name of helping refugees, but they help themselves. When they return to their country, to the West, they produce non-fiction or historical fiction or documentary books which land them to enormous amount of money, income, also documentary, which is the same thing. And when they get bored, like Angelina Jolie or other, the so-called celebrities, they just travel to Africa and a couple of days as a holiday, be nice, be filmed, and then come back. We don't need them. Africa have enough manpower, skilled. And Africa, when it's left alone, to rebuild its continent, its country. Unless the West lifts its hand from Africa, Africa will not be free.
And I think that the point that you raise about, on one hand, not only are these refugee camps effectively laboratories for testing of all kinds of untested medicines, they're kind of literally human guinea pigs, but also that the social reproduction of knowledge that is being taken without the consent of these people, without the desire of the people in the refugee camps, and with no benefit whatsoever to the people in the refugee camps. The issue is that lots of these people are very well-meaning people with ideas that they want to go and help somehow the people in refugee camps or the people in Africa. The reality is that the help that Africans need, and refugees and asylum seekers around the world, is for the imperial powers, the centers of empire, the United States in particular, but lots of other places as well, to leave them alone, really to stop interfering with the lives, the resources, because ultimately that's actually what's at the heart of the critical issue. What has damaged these countries, what has left them bereft of resources, is a whole history of exploitation at the hands largely of the first world. So I think you raise a very valid point, Yilma, and we've got agencies after agencies after agencies of the United Nations and all sorts of NGOs who are terribly concerned about the refugee problem, but they fail to look at their own role and their own benefits and own privileges that come with addressing what they see as the problem. So
regarding United Nations, using this opportunity, I want to put a remark what my thoughts are. If we go back to history, before United Nations there was League of Nations. League of Nations have worked a certain period of time. After that, the world find it's not effective for the period of time, that current period of time. And then UN is established. UN lived more than its share of time. UN is practically, it's expired, it's useless, it's a paper tiger. So UN should be replaced by more democratic, all the member countries who have equal power, not from the government leaders, but from social or people's community like unions and that sort of thing. There should be an international body. And then regarding Africa, OAU is crap. OAU is a body of dictators.
So the OAU being the Organization of African Unity.
Yeah. Now African Unity, AU. It's useless. The only possibility is to revive Pan-Africanism. The movement before OAU, which is tried to diminish but still survives, to revive that and then encourage the genuine Africans, activists, and politicians genuinely who are concerned for the continent, to revive them, to bring them to action, to the movement. That's the only solution for Africa. And the West has to stop meddling on Africa. And the problem in Africa is not created today. It's created a long time ago when in Berlin they decided to do scramble for Africa by dividing the borders and leaving the same people in different or three kind of countries. Nation state is not working in Africa. In order to demolish that, you have to stop the meddling of the West. Once that's stopped, the people will go back to their old system of chief administration, which is democratic in its nature, and then they resolve the problem. In the before the scramble for Africa, Africans have no problem traveling from north to south without passport, without any kind of identity, without any kind of problem. If there is conflict here and there, small, and then that also will be solved, chiefs sitting together, punishing the guilty part. In that sort of situation, we have to go back to that situation. We have to revive the ancestral way of management and administration.
That's awesome. Thank you, Yilma, for being with us today. We really appreciate the discussion. It's important that we educate ourselves not only between the links between what life in refugee camps are about and the lived experiences of people on the streets here in Aotearoa, but the responsibility, the ongoing responsibility of the West in terms of colonization and a history of exploitation that is going on right now, that is creating and exacerbating the problems for millions and millions of people around the world. Kia ora, Yilma. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Okay.